Just when you thought your day really sucked.
You suck!
Here comes something to make it suck even more. It's a Lamont and Tonelli podcast.
Lamont and Tonelli show. And our boy, Brian Johnson. Brian, how you doing, my main man?
I'm doing good there, guys. How are you?
We're doing great, Brian.
Let me tell you, you over the years have turned into a friend of the show, and I feel I can ask you anything.
Hey, bring it on, big boy.
All right, here we go.
Nice.
Brian, I've got to ask you, I've been doing a little research because you've got a brand new book, and we'll get to the book in just a second here. It's called An Automotive Autobiography, Rockers and Rollers, an Automotive Biography. So I'm looking at this book, and by the way, they didn't send me a copy. You should...
The dirty swines.
Exactly.
That's what we said.
Slap them silly. They just sent me a PDF file with like parts of the book, right? But they said the book is good. All right, so I'm looking at the research. Then I'm doing a little research on you. And we'll talk about the cars you have, because you've got some phenomenal freaking cars in your collection. But I'm thinking, oh, my God, he's driving a Rolls. He's driving this. He's driving that. What is Brian Johnson worth? So I go online. Is it true? Are you worth $90 million?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I know you're worth that. If you don't know how much you're worth,
Yeah.
because I know to the penny what I'm worth, and I am worth nothing.
I never look.
Hey, that is a positive situation, man. When you don't have to look. So like, if you just want anything in the world, let's say if you're walking down the street the other day and you say, man, I would like to get a brand new tour bus for myself today. I'm going to buy myself something like that. No problem. Just get out the checkbook and sign it.
Well, I've got to want it. I've got to need it.
Right.
Because I hate waste. I can't stand it. And I hate seeing guys with cars that don't use them.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in many guys' like big garages with a collection. I've gone, this is a 1963 Porsche. It's so wonderful. I said, when was the last time you drove it? Oh, a couple of years ago we took it out. And then you go, a couple of years ago?
Well, how many?
It drives you crackers. I mean, I've got a 1928 Bentley. It's a 4.5-liter Vandenplaats, the size of a small Bradley fighting vehicle, this thing. And I drive it 3-4 times a week. I get in there. It's called Thunder Guts, and for a reason, it's just the noisiest thing you've ever heard. And I have to drive it. It's 84 years old, and it runs perfectly. I'm not going to leave it there to let it wilt. Because in the book, I say there's sometimes you see old stuff in it, and it has a smell. You can, certain old stuff, you go, what's that smell? And I put in the book, I said, it's the smell of sadness. Something that's got absolutely nothing wrong with it, and nobody uses it, and it's sad to me, So I just like to smell the oil and the thing. I just like to get out and use them. Every day to me, you got to bite its ass because we're already dead. You see, so you got to get out and do it.
Hey, Brian,
money or no money.
Brian, are you living in Florida now?
Yes, I live in Sarasota, Florida, which is different from Florida. It's an independent state.
So you're tooling around Sarasota, Florida. What's your favorite car?
Well, I've got to admit it's the Bentley. I run in the Bentley, but the car I use every day, which I use and I love very much, is the Rolls-Royce Phantom. That's just a big old tank, and I drive it like I've stolen it, every day. And if you see the state of it, that's exactly what I look like. I've just stolen it. But the cops are real cool here. I know most of them, and they're not. It's me. Mainly because of the number on the car is Rock and Roll 1, so they're just not.
Nice. How many cars do you have?
Yeah.
I got about 16, me son.
Yeah. Now, if you have 16 cars, how do you drive all of them regularly?
Yeah.
Well, 5 of them are race cars, okay? So, for instance, tomorrow we leave for Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
And I'm racing up at the Watkins Glen track for the week. And I'll probably take up me Pilbeam and the Royale.
Well, that is some serious racing if you're going to Watkins Glen. Let me ask you, because Baby Huey did a little research on you, and he showed me a video of you racing a car, and the steering wheel came off. What was that like?
Oh, that was bloody awful. That was a Lola. That was a Lola T70.
Yeah.
640 horsepower V8 X. It's 1965 X Can-Am car. And these cars, this car's already killed 2 drivers, and I just bought it, and we were going. You know, you'd think, wouldn't you? You'd think I'd have a brain in me head. But anyway, they said, "Okay, Brian, we've just finished it." So we rode Atlanta at the time, and I went out to test it. And I'm flying down the front straightaway at about I was down about 160, 165.
Yeah.
And I come to turn 1, and I put me foot on the brake, change into third, and turn. And the steer, I mean, not just the steering wheel came up. I mean, the whole shaft came out. And there I was, coming towards the wall, crossing myself and doing all kinds of strange stuff, and and me gentleman's vegetables had been pushed right up against the seatbelts, which kind of hurt.
Hey, Brian, did you crap your pants?
No, not quite, but me sphincter was going like a rabbit's nose. I want you to get a good visual of that. And I swear I was 6-7 inches from that wall when I stopped, and I just went, and it was frightening.
I have never heard that saying before, I'll tell you that.
Victor going like a rabbit's nose.
Hey, Brian, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, when are we going to look at another AC/DC tour coming up here?
Well, tour. Well, let's talk album first. I will be getting together with Malcolm in a couple of weeks, and then we're going. Then we're going to London to meet up with Angus, hopefully, and that's usually how we start. We're just a bunch of pals. We're just a bunch of pals from the project. Still. Even though we've done well, we still have the same, rules that we stick by that we did when we had nothing, basically.
Yeah.
And and that's the work ethic, and it has to be right for the boys to do anything. When they're sitting down, we've got to talk and say, "Can we do this?" We're not going to be a pale shadow of our former self.
Oh, come on, you guys know. You guys know if you got together, you guys would put on a great show.
Well, yeah, but we'll talk about it to make sure that we've all got it. We're all 100% to do. If we're just 5 pieces of a cog, and if one of us not really up to it, that the whole thing just would collapse. I think.
So it may be possible. We may be able to see one more tour out of you guys.
Well, I think it wouldn't be like the last one. That was 2 years. I mean, that was just. We were just fragged when we finished.
Yeah.
I mean, it took about 3 weeks to get over it, but it was so much fun, though, and for the guys of our age at the time to tour the world and to sell out audiences everywhere, it really gives you a good feeling, And the great thing was to look out into the audiences and have a look at the generations of people that were there. I mean, it was unbelievable. Kids there about 7 and 8. Teenagers, all about teenagers.
Well, everyone loves AC/DC. Hey, now let me ask you this though, because I've got some inside dirt on your band. A real good friend of yours told me that he's saying when you guys get together and write the album. Now, this new album, are they trying to write the songs without you on the songs now? And cut you out of the writing credits? I will not let that happen. You tell me, you give me Angus's number, and I'm going to smarten him up if that's the case.
No, well, it was a while ago, when I said to the boys, I said, guys, I've just basically ran out of things to there's only so many things you can write about going out on a Saturday night, getting your willy wet, and having a drink,
Yeah.
And that was, and I found out, going into the studio without that worry, it made it good. It was great. But you never know. This time, I might. On the last album, I helped out a lot with the melodies and everything like that,
so they're not trying to screw you. They're not trying to screw you. I'm on your
No,
side
no,
here.
absolutely
Okay.
not. No.
Hey.
If I don't have me heart behind it, I just don't want to do it, But you never know. This year, I might just say, lads, I got a couple of songs here, but usually it doesn't really bother me. We've had so many.
I'm going to help you.
I'm
going to help you, Brian. I'm telling you, you've inspired me.
Thank you.
I think the first song should be "Get Your Willy Wet," okay? and the other one, "My sphincter was moving like a rabbit's nose." And my sphincter was moving like a rabbit's nose. I want to hear that in a song.
Yeah, they both have hits.
No.
Hey,
Brian. As long as it's not too. Carry on.
Hey, Brian. One real quick question here, because a good friend of ours is Craig Shoemaker, who.
Oh yes, good old Craigie Poo.
Exactly. Did you really sing at his wedding, or is he telling us a tall tale?
No, I did. I got up and sang at his wedding. I got up and had a sing, and I was sat next to a young man. He must have been about 15, 16 at the time, called Jim Brewer.
Yes.
And I was sitting next to this young kid, and he was just the nicest guy. And who would have thunk that he'd grow up and start doing us on the stage? the little fink. I gotta get him.
Hey, Brian, it's always a treat talking to you. And seriously, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on tour. And if you come into San Francisco, you're always welcome into our control room here.
Sam, you got it, big fella.
All right, there you go. The great Brian Johnson. It's Rockers and Rollers, automotive autobiography. Pick it up today. A lot of cars in this book.
Another fine product from Uranus.
That concludes the Lamont and Tonelli podcast. To hear more and everything Lamont and Tonelli, check out the website at lntworld.com.